This is only the beginning. I'm here to break the game.
What is up and welcome back. It's Skovos bringing you another Apex Legends video today. And in today's video, we're going to be going over some quick tips and tricks that really helped me on my journey to Apex Predator. And you can use these tips and tricks for yourself to help you get there as well. So to make this as easy as possible for all of you viewing this video, I'm going to go ahead and drop some timestamps in the comments section down below. So feel free to refer to that at any point in time during this video. So along with the timestamps, this video will also be broken up into 3 major categories with several subcategories for each one of them. And the 3 categories being aim, movement, and placement. And trust me, I wish reaching Apex Predator was as simple as that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the first major category of aiming. And the obvious one under this is going to be recoil control. The others I want to touch base on are team shooting, hip firing, and a bonus tip for stocks. So if you haven't heard of the firing range, you've probably been living under a rock, or you just started playing Apex Legends. Either way, go ahead and load up the firing range. This is going to be the best and easiest, as well as safest way to practice your aim and recoil control. Recoil control being the first on our list, you definitely want to pick up different weapons, try them out, and get used to the recoil patterns. It's also a great way to warm up before any matches or while waiting on your friends in between matches. So aiming down sights and pulling the trigger is a fairly straightforward concept. What isn't as straightforward as that is making the micro adjustments for each weapon specifically in Apex Legends. While you're pulling the trigger, you can move your thumbstick to counteract the aim and recoil that the weapon throws off as you're shooting. And the best way to do this, in my opinion, is stand still. Don't use your movement to compensate for your aim, at least not in the beginning. Throw on some white attachments and a purple magazine, that way you have the largest clip possible and you're not handicapping yourself too much by giving yourself that gold barrel stabilizer right off the bat. Or maybe start off with a gold barrel stabilizer and work your way down to no stabilizer at all to perfect your aim with your favorite weapon in Apex Legends. So the next time you're waiting for your friends to hop in and drop a few dubs with you, why not drop in a firing range and spend those few minutes practicing those guns you know you need a little bit of work with. This next tip is a huge one, and I don't see nearly enough people speaking about this. It helped me out so much on my journey to Apex Predator. And just because I'm a Predator now does not mean I can wipe squads single-handedly. Your teammates are key. Communication is key. And the tip here is team shooting. Make sure you call out who you're shooting out and when. And if your teammates have the same line of sight, make sure that you engage with the same opponent if at all possible. And if all 3 of you can, that is triple the amount of damage in the same amount of time. You can down enemies faster than they can even realize they've been shot. When you use this tip effectively, you can turn the tide of battle. It turns that 3v3 or that sticky situation into a 3v2 and gives you the advantage. So this next tip stems off one of my biggest pet peeves. If I am down, especially in a ranked lobby, and one of my friends or randoms that I happen to queue up with is trying to aim down their sights for a point blank fight. If the enemy is right on top of you, running around, doing circles, jumping on your head, it doesn't matter. Do not aim down your sights. Learn when to and when not to. Hipfire is much more powerful in this game than most people realize. And getting out of the habit of always pulling that left trigger is definitely difficult to do, but is definitely necessary, especially for the higher ranks. A hipfire R99 will outshoot an ADS R99 at point blank range 99% of the time if the players both know what they're doing. And the very last tip for the aim category doesn't really have much to do with your aim, but for example, if you're an R99 user and your other weapon is basically anything else, and you get a purple weapon stock, my first impression has always been throw the purple weapon stock on the R99 so I can pull it out faster, but that is a very common misconception. So the way weapon stocks work in this game is not how you may think. I'll link a video in the description below that taught me how weapon stocks actually work, and a brief explanation of this is basically the better the weapon stock, the faster you can put away the weapon instead of taking it out. So in this example, the R99 is already put away and pulled out very quickly. The Devotion is not put away very fast. So if you were to have both of those weapons, putting a purple weapon stock on the Devotion is going to allow you to put the Devotion away faster and then pull out the R99 at its normal speed, which is already fast. Or in the opposite of this scenario, if you put the purple weapon stock on the R99, yes, you're going to put it away a little bit faster, but it's already put away pretty quickly. Then you pull out the Devotion, and the Devotion is that slow, heavy weapon. So you're going to benefit so much more by putting the weapon stock on the heavier weapon. Just keep that in mind when you're playing, and that's the easiest way to remember it. Weapon stock goes on the heavier weapon. So the next category we are jumping right into is going to be movement-based tips. And the first big tip under this section is going to be crouch shooting. So crouch shooting is a pretty straightforward tactic. You basically just crouch and keep shooting. What this does is when you crouch, the opponent's aim will typically be thrown off. Even if it's just by a little, they can aim above or past you, miss a few bullets, and by the time they recenter, you are already uncrouched and still firing back at them. So it gives you a slight edge in every engagement, and you'll get used to this very quickly and learn when and when not to take advantage of a crouch shooting method. So the next category under movement-based tips is going to be bunny hopping or bee hopping. And if you're on console, it is much harder to use and much harder to implement in situations properly. And I play on console, Xbox One specifically, so it's pretty hard to use this in situations that make a lot of sense to bunny hop. But basically I can use this to get around corners quickly or move sporadically if I'm trying to dodge bullets. So unfortunately, in the past, they did nerf it so you can no longer heal while continuously bunny hopping. You can hop maybe 2 or 3 times before the heal stops you in your tracks. So keep that in mind when using this method trying to escape a sticky situation, that you will not be able to completely bunny hop while popping that shield battery. So just a heads up, it does require quite a bit of practice to do this effectively on console. But basically what you do is at sprinting speed, you want to either jump into a slide or just start off sliding. Either way, once you engage in that slide animation, you want to look and move in one direction. Once you're looking and moving in the direction after that slide animation starts, you want to jump and then immediately rinse and repeat. So keep looking in that direction, keep moving in that direction, and jump after the slide animation begins. So again, just rinse and repeat these instructions. Basically, right when your slide starts, you're looking and moving in the same direction, you jump after the slide animation begins, and continue to do so. It should look something along the lines of this. And I know this tip may seem fairly obvious for most of us, but there's far too many times where I'm spectating a teammate and they're either not healing when they have plenty of time to, or they stop fighting to try to pop a shield cell or battery when they could have just as easily finished a fight. Or if they're trying to pop that shield battery and just get downed anyways. If you're gonna go down, you might as well go down fighting. And if you know you're going down anyways, that little bit of damage can really turn the tide of a battle. If you can get off 20 or 40 extra damage on an opponent, that could win that squad wipe for you and get you picked back up and continue on with the game, instead of wiping and having to start the next game from scratch. So last but not least is going to be a rather quick category, and this category is based around placement. And the first thing I want to go over under this category is high ground. High ground is very, very important in any game along these lines. Any tactical shooter, any battle royale. Take the high ground when you can and engage from the high ground when you can. If you do not have the high ground, do not engage with an enemy that does, because you are at an automatic disadvantage. And another tip in regards to high ground, if you see an enemy that does have the high ground and you're not engaging with them, which is probably the smart move, and you notice that they are leaving the high ground for whatever reason, you can always follow up behind them, take the high ground that they just left, and then engage with them when they're at a disadvantage. Most of the time, this will win you squad fights. Just keep in mind where the circle is, which is our next tip under this category. So that brings us to our next 2 tips under placement, and that's going to be circle and rotation. And the circle is more dangerous than any enemy team in the game. You cannot fight the circle back, and you cannot win against it. It is always closing and is a key aspect to this game. You can definitely use the circle to your advantage, pinching teams between you and the circle. If you see a team coming out of the circle, you know that they've taken at least some damage. Especially in late game, you know that they're probably pretty weak and ready to heal right away. That could be your chance to get a free kill and some free loot. As for rotation, keep an eye on enemy teams' placements. If you know there's a team ahead of you, pay attention where they're rotating to. It's pointless just to follow around a team and try to loot behind them, because they've probably already taken all the good stuff. And whatever you do, don't be the team who rotates out of the circle. Don't be the team that lives in the circle for a little bit better loot. You're better off not risking it and just taking the next ring anyways, and then killing any of those teams who decided to venture off into the ring and take that extra damage. Those are easy kills and easy ways to gain a bunch of gear, especially towards the late game. And the last things I want to say about rotating is practice looting. The longer you take the loot, the odds of you dying are much higher. The quicker you can loot, the quicker you get better stuff, and the faster you can rotate to the next area. And that is very important, especially in ranked games. You do not want to waste your valuable points because you wanted that extended heavy mag. And a quick tip to get quicker at looting very easily is have tap to pick up turned on. There's a few different options with this, but tap to pick up is very important. If you're fighting for that first weapon and you have tap to pick up turned on and your enemy has hold to pick up turned on, you are going to beat them by a lot to that first weapon, which could mean the win or your squad wipe right there within the first few seconds of any given match. In the lengthier matches, if you have hold to pick up turned on, that'll be hundreds of seconds wasted picking up each and every item instead of tapping to pick them up instantly. So that's going to wrap up the video for today. If you want to see one of these categories or tips in a more elaborate, in-depth video, let me know down below in the comment section. If you enjoy my content and you want to see more, click that subscribe button. It really does help me out a lot more than you may realize. If you enjoy this video specifically, click the thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy it, you're more than welcome to click the thumbs down. But whether you did or didn't click anything that I mentioned, I hope you have a good evening, afternoon, morning, night, or whatever it is, wherever you are, but thank you for stopping by.